So, students, first of all the best for your exams. I've heard that your exams have already started, and now we are going to directly jump on with the subject of IPR. IPR is nothing but intellectual property rights. Now, what do you mean by IPR in first place? Anything that is the creation of human mind, intellect, and the thing that you can call it as your property because you are going to earn some income out of it. You are going to put forth the idea and make business out of it. So what happens when you have such ideas or such kind of creations? It is but obvious that you have to protect it. Now you may ask me, why do protect? One, most importantly, it may get stolen. You must have heard that names sound similar or the packaging looks similar. And when you go to market these products in the market, what happens is something that looks similar, people will just pick up and buy. And that may affect your own business. So it is very important to protect your ideas. IPR is all about protecting your own creation, your own human creation, something that has come out of your own mind. So, first day for today, we are going to look at copyright trademark and we will look at patent, which is a little longer topic for tomorrow. One, we'll start with copyright. Now, what do you mean by copyright? Copyright is nothing but that is related to all types of artistic works, literary works, musical works. So it covers a wide range of creative works. Basically, this, if you see the application of copyright, it is mainly in books. As far as literature is concerned, you can see that many authors come up with authentic and real stories, something that is not published as of today, something that is his own creation. For example, if you see the works of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, he came up with a four novel package, Sheldon, if anybody knows, and that also got picturized later on, and movies and web series are made out of it. Now, what is that? It is his own creation, and that is the reason why it has to be protected. So, one is literary works, wherein not only books but poems, articles, and essays are protected. Now, you ask me why poems, articles, and all these kind of things. Because people will use your literature to do a research ahead, or they may publish it in their own name. And we want to protect it so that somebody would not be able to steal your original work and republish it or claim it to be their own. So that is one. Now, in today's time, if you see movies, web series, everything is getting released on OTT. So it is all, you must have read, it is original works created based on certain novel. They can't just say that it is, directly made from that. So they call it as an adaptation. They will have to change a little bit here and there. All this is happening because the IPRs are in place. And it has to be in place because otherwise people will just freely copy your work and put it in their name. So one is literary works, second is musical works. You might have heard that all our great artists, whether Western or in Hollywood or in Bollywood, they do protect songs. There are many actors like Amitabh Bachchan who have protected their voice through this, and that makes it special. Now, what does it, why, how, what special about it? Okay, yeah, his voice is special. It sounds very different. It is unique. When you hear it in the background of any movie, say in an introduction, you quickly realize that this is Amitabh Bachchan's voice. This is Ajay Devgan's voice. Why? Because it is unique in nature. Now, once when they protect it, nobody can make any kind of a creation out of their voice. Now, in today's time, it has become very easy to copy and make even a voice note or a song, something from my own voice. You can make a creation with the help of AI and other sort of materials that are available on net. There is something called as deep fake videos, which you might have come across. So it is becoming extremely dangerous to leave your original work unprotected. Next one is artistic work. Now, what is artistic work? It includes paintings, sculptures, photographs, graphic designs, and all these sort of things are also protected. If you know someone called M.F. Hussain, all his paintings are exclusive. And the kind of price tag that these paintings carry is huge. Now, why that is happening? Because it is an original work. If you see the original work called Mona Lisa, you know there are a lot of copies in the market, but you can't sell or you can't really copy and claim it to be yours. Everybody knows that the original work is done by X person. So that is the reason why IPR is very important. Dramatic works is where plays, scripts, and screenplays. Screenplays is with respect to maybe movies or TV series, all these kind of things, all these artistic works are again protected through IPR. I'm sure you must have read some names under the tag of legal team. When now these days, if you see older movies, you may not get anything kind of that. But now, if you see, even in movies or in web series or in TV series, you will see there is something called as legal team. You may see some law firm's name or an advocate's name flashing over there. And why that is in place or why that is being hired? Because they have to take care of all the copyright issues with respect to the material that is being broadcasted on TV or on big screen. Fourth is motion pictures, as I was talking about it right away. Audio visual works, movies, TV shows, any kind of TV shows. Even if you copy, now you will ask me, ma'am, there are so many movies and TV series which are copied from, Tollywood and Hollywood. Then how does that happen? Obviously, they are paying them some kind of money, which is called royalty for their original script or adaptation. And then they call it as adapted from or taken from. Some don't mention it, but then we all know that it is copied. But otherwise also, even if it is copied in some way or the other, they have to take care of all these kind of IPRs, because otherwise they may run into some legal trouble. You might have heard or read about many cases coming in newspapers which say that X versus Y company, they have sued because some logo has been copied, some picture has been copied. For example, if you see the girl's picture on Amul, it is exclusive to Amul. If you see that girl on some other brand, that means that they have copied. So that kind of reputation builds up with certain logos. Or the Maharaja of Air India is another classic example. When you look at that, you know it's Air India. So when you look at the girl's picture, you know it is Amul. You don't have to think or even read the brand name. So creating the brand image in the minds of the public or the people, your consumers, is very important if you want to build up your business. And if you do that and say, for example, after 5 years, someone just comes up and copies your something that is unique to your product, then what will happen? People might start buying those materials. So that is when all these IPRs come into picture. Now, next one is software programs, applications, games, and operating systems. This is new one because in earlier days, there was nothing called as software programs or anything. But now we know that there are original programs which are written, even if you have heard about PS5, which works at an amazing rate. You have very good video games on that. So that has to be protected. Otherwise, anybody will come up, copy, and just go on with it, right? And they'll make money out of it. Basic thing is that you're losing out on business. And last one is architectural works, that is blueprints, building designs, etc. So key principles of copyright. One is originality, as we spoke about it. It has to be an original work of the author, may it be music, art, literature, or films, or whatever it is. Second, it is not automatically getting protected. Now, copyright arises only after the creation is unique or it is something that is new, novel idea. So, protection of your literature or some kind of work is very important, and it becomes mandatory for the person. Now you cannot force somebody, but registration has to be done, even though it says that registration is not mandatory. Because even if people recognize you by the creation, the problem is that once the other people will step in and copy your creation, that will create a problem. So even though it says that it is not mandatory, doing registration is important and good for the business. Next is exclusive rights. Now, what do you mean by exclusive rights? You have an exclusive right over your own creation. So one is you can distribute it, you can copy it, you can sell it, you can lease it, you can do whatever you want with your own creation. Say, for example, if somebody wants to make a movie on your book, so they have to ask you, and then you get paid for that, and you have to give permission. So you are the whole sole owner of your own creation, and that is how you can have reproduction rights over your own creation. And next one is limited duration. Now copyright lasts for a number of years. It's not like it's till the end of the or the life of the creation or the person. Every say literature has different time limit, uh, paintings have different time limit, and that's how it has a limited duration of protection, wherein you can again renew your IPR protection. Also, that duration changes from place to place. Okay. Next one is fair use and fair dealing, which means that certain users, say for example, now I'm teaching you, I'm telling you, I'm giving education about a certain thing. So under these kind of broad terms, it is allowed. So it doesn't mean that I'm copying, I'm making business or something like that. So educating people about certain things. Say for example, I'm talking about Amul and I show you a picture. It's not like I'm producing it again or I'm showing it with some business purpose. So one is education, other one is research. Next is you can also have a commentary. You have so many people who talk about your product online. So they are allowed. It's not that we cannot say that they are copying it, right? It's not meant for business purpose. One basic important thing is that it's for fair use. Next is transferability. Now, what do you mean by transferability? Now, copyright can be transferred or licensed to others. Say, for example, I have a creation and I want to give it to you for use. Then I can license it to you. That's how a copyright can be transferred. The rights limited in nature, but can be transferred from one person to other. Maybe partially or fully, it totally depends on the creator itself. So if I am the creator, I will decide whether and how much to give you. And of course, legally, you have to make certain agreements. Other point is that it is about moral rights. Now, authors retain certain rights because they have to be given importance, right? Say, for example, there is a movie made out of a book, then they always write adaptation from the novel so and so, written by so and so. Just the novel, for example, J.K. Rowling, the name has to come because it is that person's creation. So it is some kind of a duty, you can say. It's a moral right of the person. When it is protected, the person has to be given credit. So you have this long list of names coming after the movie or even before, some which says credits. That means that the credit of that creation or that work has to be given, is given to some person who's done it. So that is another point. And last point that you can cover in key principles is infringement and remedies. So what happens if somebody infringes your copyright right? So what does infringement mean? Infringement simply means that somebody has copied your material, saying and claiming to be his or her own. So that is infringement. You can take legal action against such person. You can institute a suit against the person, and you can take legal remedy, which will you will have to first of all prove that it is your creation, and then you can claim for compensation, which is called damages or injunction. Injunction is you can stop from sale of that product. So I've taken some of the examples. One is Make My Trip versus Google. If you have read about it, there was this it was regarding some infringement and the misuse of their name. Moti Mahal versus ex-franchisee, which is again registered for trademark and copyright, and that was getting infringed. So they were some franchisee and they tried to stop. So they tried to get interim protection, which means that they just want them to stop business for the time being, and then the legal thing can proceed. So the Delhi High Court has probably heard them and given them some relief. Other one is IKEA versus IKEA. If you see this, the name is very similar. Somebody may not even notice that there is one A and one Y. So here again, there is an infringement thing which has happened, and they have approached the courts for legal remedy. So now we come to trademarks. Now, where is trademark applied? Trademark is just a symbol, phrase, or a design. You might have seen a lot of these things on your daily products, wherein you, like I said, the girl on the Amul, any packaged Amul product. So that's your brand identity. And that becomes next to your name, something that can be recognized with your product so easily that you won't even read the name of the product. So that is one thing that identifies you as the product, you as the brand, and it distinguishes from other goods and services, from other brands. So you don't really have to read. Somebody may write their brand name in the similar fashion as Amul is written, say same font, same size, same color, but the girl on the packet is what really makes it distinct. And if that is copied, then Amul can approach the courts for infringement. Now, what are the key features of trademark? One, again, it has to be distinctive. Please remember that in any IPR, any intellectual property right, may it be copyright, trademark, patent, geographical design, or anything, one, it has to be a creation of mind. That means that it has to be unique in its own way. It has to be different from other, say, brand, products, or anything that is competing with, say, poem. So it has to be your own. It has to be your distinct. It has to be unique in nature. So distinctiveness is the first key feature that you can write in your answer for any of these IPRs. Please remember that. So of course it is unique, non-generic. Something that is not non-generic means something that is not very general. A girl is a general term. Sumedha is a girl. Sumedha is unique. But there may be 4 Sumedhas. But if you say advocate Sumedha, there may be just 1 out of 4 at Sumedhas. So that is how, the distinctness comes into place. Next is protection. Now, any creation that you have made, it's your own idea, it's your own creation, it has to be protected. Obviously, here we are talking about trademark, and protection is important. You have legal remedies in case of infringement of your trademark. Third is registration. Whether it is registered or no, registering them offers stronger legal rights, because obviously you can talk about it in the court. You can say, see, I have a registered trademark in my name, because something that is unregistered may just go unnoticed, and we don't want that. So protecting your creation, as I was saying, is very important. So registration is a part of it. It's a formality, but if done, it's better than not being done. And last is duration. Again, it can be renewed, but it's a duration. There is a duration for every IPR that we talk about. Now I've listed some examples here about trademark. Coca-Cola. If you see the red and white script, the letters, you come to know that is Coca-Cola. Coke is also written in the similar fashion. So Sprite, it's a green bottle. The letters, if you see Mountain Dew, it is also green. But if you see the letters, it is distinct and different from Sprite. So, these kind of things are something that you just don't have to read. You've just got so used to it. You just see it and you know that is Sprite. It becomes your brand identity. This is an iconic example. Other one is Nike, the swoosh logo. If you just see the tick mark, you know it's Nike. You don't have to, think about it again. The slogan, just do it. Again, it is as good as you're talking about Nike. you make fun, say for example, you say just do it. Any other person will say it's Nike. So it's a unique identity of the brand. The other example that I've enlisted is Apple. You know what the symbol Apple looks like, an apple with a bite taken away from it. Other one is McDonald's with an M, yellow M. And if you see at any McD, you will see a big, hoarding kind of a thing, which has just M. Say if you're driving on a highway and you're hungry, you just see an M from far away place. It's huge. You know there is a McD over there. So that's the distinctness and the kind of identity that MACD shares with that M letter, that unique font, that yellow color. You quickly recognize that it's a McDonald's joint. Other one is Starbucks. You might have seen how the logo of Starbucks has changed over time. Currently, there is this little girl with those hairs, and it's green in color, the green mermaid logo, they call it. So that is very unique to Starbucks. And lastly, I've enlisted Mercedes Benz. Now, there are so many cars in the market. If you see only the logo or the, kind of what you can call it as a tag on the front side of the car, you see a T, it's a Tata. If you see a T with kind of circles, it's Toyota. So Mercedes has this three-legged kind of a circle, and you know that it's a Mercedes. You don't have to read on the car that it's a Mercedes. So these certain kinds of, you can say anything, may it be a logo or a picture or a sign, all these are popular trademarks, and every business targets or wants to have such a symbol which can really identify them as a brand. You don't have to call out the whole name. So that's the importance of trademark. Now we'll move on to industrial designs. What is industrial designs? It's a professional practice of creating and developing products. Now you will say, ma'am, what is it exactly? So the definite shape or the way a product looks, the packaging, anything could be considered under industrial designs. So it could be products, devices, objects, even services are uncovered under this, whether it is visually appealing or it is functional in nature. For example, if you have a say a bottle which in which you have a say lotion, and you press the that upper side of the bottle and the lotion comes out. Now earlier days, if you see, there used to be bottles which had, you just squeeze and you get the lotion, like you have the toothpaste. But then the design of these bottles kept on changing. Now if you see, for example, Dotson key, there's a new brand, maybe not that new now, but the packaging of that is very unique. You see that bottle and you come to know that it's Dot and Key, because the packaging is very different. It has got a hat like cover, and you quickly recognize that this is another product from the existing ones in the market. So this is basically all about industrial design. It is to improve, say, aesthetics. You can see it more in cosmetic industry, or maybe some other products which has that kind of appeal or which needs that kind of appeal, and that's the way it is manufactured. Now why all this is being done? Because the brand or the company that is manufacturing the product wants the user or the consumer to have a unique and a very good experience. That's the reason why I starkly mentioned cosmetics here, because it's an experience, you own it, that kind of a thing. So industrial design is important in that way. Now, what are the key elements in industrial design? As I said, one is the function, the looks of it, form and function. So there has to be a balance for the appearance of the product with its practical use. You just say that it is looking good, but it is not being used properly. You are not able to use it in a way it should be used. Ease of use is not there, it is not user friendly, then maybe your product will fail. So industrial, while making an industrial design, it's very important to see that userability is again achieved in it. Just having a good product or a good looking product is not important, even its function should be good. Other is user centric approach, as I mentioned just now. It should be designed with things in the mind that it's going to be used by somebody maybe who is very naive, who is using the product for the first time. And you can't have very complicated uh, products where you are not able to use it. So that is one, that you should have a user centric approach. Third is sustainability. Of course, we are talking a lot about eco-friendly materials and products and stuff like that these days, because we are really damaging and harming our environment. So sustainability is given importance these days when you go to manufacture products. When you are doing some designing or some kind of a unique thing, that doesn't mean that you should go and harm the nature in a way, because manufacturing happens in tons. We have one single say bottle, but then it's manufactured in millions units. So that is important. And not only materials, but even the processes. I mean to say the manufacturing process has to be eco-friendly. And there are certain methods now these days that people use, not throwing out waste in the say air, or they are not letting out their say oily material on the soil or in the ground. They are disposing it off by processing it and making it clear of chemicals. So these kind of methods are applied. And lastly, the innovation, of course, as we talked about distinctiveness in trademarks, copyrights, same applies in industrial designs as well. And there has to be some new idea, otherwise you really can't protect it, saying that it is a unique industrial design. So whether it's a new idea, of course, here you can also improve existing designs. Now, something that is already existing and you have a better process of achieving that product, then that can also be covered under industrial design. That is one important thing. Now, here I've given some examples. One, Coca-Cola bottle, we talked about the letters and the design, the unique shape of the bottle, which recognizes or which differentiates Coca-Cola from other competitors, is something that is industrial design. Other one is Apple iMac. And why I've given you these examples is because these are like daily products which we use or we come across, and you can easily write it in your paper. If you write examples, then I'm sure you will give the paper checker a bit better clarity that you've understood your topic. So you should always write examples wherever possible. You can enlist any of these. Apple iMac, the design was done by some person called Sir Jonathan Ive, and it has become so unique and so famous. Now you have that Apple silver logo behind the phone, say for example, Apple phone, and it is very sleek in nature. When you look at the phone, you come to know that, oh, that's an Apple. So that's how, it has become very unique in nature and distinctive in the market. And Dyson vacuum cleaner, it was made in 1993. You might have read or heard an idea or an advertisement of Dyson on TV. You might have come across how they talk about, it cleans everything. And I've heard that there is some robo also, which is manufactured by Dyson. You just leave it in your house at one corner and it will clean all your floor. So this is something that is unique, something that is not there in the market. And looking at the product itself, people will come to know ki, okay, this is Dyson vacuum cleaner. So these are certain examples which you can write in your ID answers. So this was all for today. Anybody has any questions can ask me right now. Just I would like to give one tip. While attempting your, since this is a revision lecture and your exams are going to be soon held, just one important thing about IPR is, one, remember that the points are very similar in every, say it is for trademark or copyright or patent. It will keep on talking about, being new, distinctive, some unique features, etc., etc. All these points that are common, please make a note of that. So, and blindly write it. Okay. Other thing is they may ask you what are the characteristics or the characteristic features of trademarks, copyright. Now, please remember, as law students, we have to write big answers, right? Your professors might have told you it should be 5, 6 pages, etc. So, how do you do this now? So, all the points that I covered was very small, and you will say, how do I write big answers? So, what do you do is start off with an introduction, saying what is copyright, what is trademark, even though if they have not asked you, say they have mentioned only enlist key features of copyright, but still start off with an introduction saying what is copyright or what is trademark, so and so thing. Then you come on how it is important, importance of copyright, importance of trademark. Then you enlist key features, keep on explaining each key feature, write it point wise, 1, 2, 3, 4, and make paragraph of each point. Say for example, you are talking about the distinctiveness, so write distinctiveness as your heading, make one paragraph. Then write the next point, make one paragraph. That's how you not only just fill up pages with words, but you really construct an answer. Towards the end, after explaining all the features, write examples. That's the reason I've given examples here today. Just write some notable examples or some iconic examples for trademark are as follows: 1, 2, 3, 4, and talk about how they are unique. I have enlisted, like I have given it in the PPT. Say for example, Nike. How is it unique from others? The swoosh, just do it. All those kind of things you should incorporate in your answer. I think these are kind of products we come across every day. So you don't have to really remember anything. You just can remember what examples you have to give. Remember only that much. Make a list in your own notepad or whatever, and then you write it in the exams that way. So write the example, write a paragraph on how it is unique, and go on. And towards the end, after writing examples, again go on writing how, or in what way trademark and copyright or even patent, I mean, I'm just generalizing it, how they are important. So you can say that if trademark doesn't exist, say for example, you have not taken a trademark for your product, then what would happen? And then, somebody may infringe that, in which case you may not be able to take legal protection, wherein you may lose business, these kind of things. So practical applicability, you can write maybe a paragraph or a two and conclude your answer. So you should always have a thought as to why you are, say, whatever question you are attempting, why that is important. So end your answer with your own thought, saying conclusively, this is important because so and so, so and so, so and so. So write 1 or 2 paragraphs, and I think if you write all these things, you will be able to write 5 pages very easily.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah. Hi.
One of the point from the syllabus is advantages and disadvantages of intellectual property rights. So we can gather from your lecture is that advantages. What are the advantages? Why it is required? But what may be the disadvantages of
So
IPR?
about this, we are going to talk tomorrow. Right now, we are talking only about trademark, copyright, and industrial designs. But just to give you a little idea, see, when it comes to protecting your intellectual property rights, yes, it is important because it is unique, distinctive, your own creation, etc., etc. But what are the disadvantages is one thing. If, say, for example, someone steals your project and does a copyright of his own and protects it through, say for example, it's a new product. Say for during COVID time, everybody was rushing to get a vaccine. Every country was trying to make a vaccine, and not many vaccines were viable, but they went on to take patent for that. If you read about it, you will come to know. So these kind of things may happen. This is a big disadvantage wherein you are not really putting forth new ideas or new products, but just maybe cleverly trying to get intellectual property rights so that you can make money, because you are unique in the market. If someone wants to do research, or if the person wants to go ahead with the product, then they will have to pay you. So see, remember, as far as intellectual property rights is concerned, it doesn't really talk about business and money here. You know, in our syllabus we talk about how it can be legally protected, but trust me, this is all a money game. So whoever wants to steal your product or your creation is trying to make business out of it, and that is the reason why it has to be protected. So disadvantage is this only.
So there's one question: can a product be registered in two different categories?
In what way? Two categories as in copyright and trademark?
Probably.
The
Parshuram,
answer is yes. I have enlisted one example in my PPT. You can go through. Yes. Nobody
Okay.
will stop you from taking an IPR if it fulfills the category of that IPR. Say, for example, copyright or trademark or patent or whatever that is. Let me tell you, it is very easy. And if you see, it is quite repetitive as well. So once you go through your notes, I'm sure you will be able to take that into consideration.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Sumedha. I mean,
Welcome.
yeah, really, it was a long day for you and you stayed to your commitment. So, really, kudos to you.
Bye.
Bye bye.